This is cs517A, and for this video lecture I'm going to talk about file system interface. For most users, the file system is the most visible aspect of an operating system. It provides a mechanism for access to both data and programs of the operating system. The file system consists of two distinct parts: a collection of files that store related data, and a directory structure that organizes and provides information about all the system files. File concepts. A file is a collection of related information that is recorded on secondary storage. From the user's perspective, a file is the smallest allotment of logical secondary storage. So when you have something that you store in the secondary storage, you call it file. So here are some file types. File types. So you have executable. These are the coms and the exe. You have the object file and source code. When you do programming, so you have object file or source codes. Batch files. So you have two there, BAT and the shell sh. BAT is for Windows and shell is for Linux. They can also be considered as executable because when you run a batch file, they basically execute something. Then you have text files, text and doc, word processors, archived, kulang ng R, and multimedia. Still under file concept, so here if you are to look into the directory where I save my files, so these are the file types. So you have ASM there. So I made an assembly language code, a sample assembly language. So this is also a sample batch file, and the rest are PowerPoint presentations and multimedia files. Still under file concepts, we have the so-called file attributes. So the file attributes are the following. You have the name, only information kept in human readable form. You have identifier, unique tag, it's a number, identifies file within file system. Type, you've already seen the type. You have the executable, the exe, .bat, .doc, whatever. So needed for systems that support different types. Location, pointer to file location on drive. Size is the current file size. Protection controls who can do reading, writing, or executing. Time, date, and usage identification. Data for protection, security, and usage monitoring. So again, I'm going to show you, and here are some of the attributes. So by just looking at the directory, you can already see some of the attributes of your file. So you have the modified, and the type, and the size. You can also do some operations on the file. Example, you can create file. You can write something on the file, and then you can read data from the file. You can reposition within the file, delete the file itself, or truncate. You're going to remove something apart. You just retain a certain part of the file, you truncate. File access method. The way that files are accessed and read into memory is determined by access methods. Usually a single access method is supported by systems, while there are OSs that support multiple access methods. So these are the frequently used access method. First one is sequential access. In this type of file access method, records are accessed in a certain predefined sequence. In the sequential access method, information stored in the file is also processed only one by one. Most compilers access files using this access method. So another example here, if you have cassette tapes, so when you access a certain song, you have to access it sequentially. If you want to skip a song, then you have to rewind and find that song. So the access is sequential. Random access, The random access method is also called direct random access. This method allows accessing the record directly. Each record has its own address which can be directly accessed for reading and writing. So example, if you want to access data from your random access memory. So the access is randomly based on the address. And then you have the indexed sequential access. So index sequential access are normally discussed in detail when you learn about programming. Anyway, this type of accessing method is based on simple sequential access. In this access method, an index is built for every file with a direct pointer to different memory blocks. The index is searched sequentially, and its pointer can access the file directly. Multiple levels of indexing can be used to offer greater efficiency and access. It also reduces the time needed to access a single record. Next is directory structure. So directory is a file system cataloging structure which contains references to other computer files and possibly other directories. Directories can be defined by the operating system, by the system administrator, or by users. Directories and folders are frequently used interchangeably. However, some books and online learning resources describe a directory as a location with specific paths where a file can be found, while a folder is the container of the file. Still under directory structure, so there are different types of structure. You have first level structure, and then you have the two level structures, and of course you have the tree structure. And most of us is most of the modern OSs are using the tree structure. The one level structure and the two level structure, these are mostly implemented during the early times, old OSs. File protection. OSs have included mechanisms to protect files against deliberate malicious access. This should allow the owner to have control over what can be done on the file and who can do something on the file. So still under file protection. So for Linux, you can see it if you are in the shell. There is this read write w read write execute in the Linux. But for Windows, you can do this by right clicking. This one I'm showing it to you. By doing this, you look at your subdirect and you can find, you right click on the file so that you will know what kind of protection it has, and then you go to the security, and these are the information that you will see there. So who can modify, who can read, and you can change it. In to some extent, you are now protecting your file. So to recap, the file system interface is the most visible aspect of an OS. So because all the other things are abstraction, but this time if you are talking about file system interface, you can really see something. Like you see the file, you see the directory, you see where the file is. At least there is an interface. So in addition, it allows for direct management of user data. So if you have this mechanism of seeing where it is and where it is saved, you can now directly manage it, sudo manage it, because ultimately it will be the OS who will be managing your file. So for recommended reading and viewing, here are some links which you can visit. Thank you for watching the video.